Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fan takeaways from the Fremantle versus Collingwood game. If you want to be a part of this moving forward, follow pies_footy on Instagram. The story goes up right after the game, so if you want to be a part of it, jump in through those means. It's funny, the contrast of volume of fan takeaways between a win and a loss is stark. Obviously, when you win, there's less fan takeaways. When you lose, goodness gracious, that game after Geelong, almost 3 times the amount of input from our fans. It's just the nature of it, right? You lose, you kick the bucket, you win, you're super content. So that's just the lay of the land, isn't it? First up, James_Tracy 00. Professional win with a salute emoji. Pretty much defy the odds is pretty much has been the language I've used over the last couple of days. No teams won off the back of a 5-day break this season. And just to make matters even more difficult, we had to travel to Perth. We didn't have Pendlebury, Myercheck, DeGoey or Maynard or McStay. And then meanwhile, Steel Sidebottom played about 60% of the game. Lachie Schultz got concussed at the start of the fourth quarter, so he only played roughly 65% of the game. So we were down to 2 rotations for a large portion of the game. That is the embodiment of a professional win against a side who was tipped as the favourite going into this game, and a side that needed to bounce back from, arguably, you probably won't see a more disappointing performance from an AFL side this year. So that is a professional win. Billy O on the same ground says, bank it and move on. Cruz McLeavy says, Dan Houston needs to pull his finger out, as well as Steve O'Sana says, if Houston goes back to the moon, can he please send Dan back? Look, I'm not overly concerned of the form of Dan Houston. We talked about him in the player ratings, and he's had some good games, notably the 9 coaches' votes against Port Adelaide, his old side. Got to remember, he's had some inconsistency with his availability due to suspensions at the start of the year, and also was suspended after the Bulldogs game. So he's still finding his feet in that respect, and he's also still trying to find his feet within the team. Same thing with Lachie Schultz last year. Look at him now. Just be patient. I don't think it's a big deal. And leave this type of spin for media, legacy media. Here at Pies Footy, we try to back our lads in as much as possible. Yes, we're going to be critical at times, but I think we've learnt from the Lachie Schultz situation collectively that just got to be patient, and he's not playing horribly. He's just not playing like an All-Australian player, and that's okay. He's playing his role at the moment. I'm more than comfortable with that at this point in time. Bailey Gerdev says, Shooter is my GOAT. Rest up. And who needs Nakos to win? H. Dimmitt says, Lachie Schultz is tough as nails. Kynan says, Shooter always was and will be the best pressure act we have had for years. Did anybody else mention Lachie Schultz? No? Okay. Unfortunate, right? The concussion could be out for, he's going to be out for at the very least for a week. Potentially 2 weeks, given the severity of it, and we'll see how he bounces back. Is that his 2nd or 3rd concussion in 12 months? That's a concern. But his game, his pressure acts, his IQ when to apply pressure in a forward half, how to position himself in the passing lanes to cut them off, knowing when to go and when to stay. He couldn't put a foot wrong today, or not today, but last night. And yeah, his tackle stuck. That tackle against Jordan Clark was textbook. Unfortunately, Clark's shoulder stuck out, and that's the way it goes. That's footy. It's a harsh game, and that's why I admire every player that steps the footy field on a week-to-week basis, whether it be AFL, local footy, even the juniors. These people, they just sacrifice their body, and mate, it's a 360-degree angle sport, and it can get you when you're not looking. So, unbelievable effort from Lachie Schultz on the night. He had 3 goal assists as well, so he couldn't make a mistake if he tried on the night. Trentar0912 says 6-piece McNugget. Billy, woo, is what he says. 6 goals, could have had 8. 8 shots on target, 6 goals, 2. Yeah, I mean, can he get his first All-Australian blazer at the age of 32? Talk about defying odds, right? And when you're lacking a bit of tall timber in the back line, in the forward line, you sort of fall back on what we fell in love with in 2022 and 2023 was the makeshift forward line, having these small to medium sized forwards like Bobby Hill and Jamie Elliott just take over games. So it's nice to know that we have these other plans to fall back on. I thought we were a bit more assertive through the corridor against Fremantle as well. So it shows how adaptable we are. We've played this patient boundary line type of game style for the most part of this year. But when we need to change gears and go through the middle and play the handball game, then we're also more than capable of doing that. And we executed that to a T and hurt them on the counter-attack, hurt them with our forward half turnovers. Beasley says, didn't have many inside 50s, but the boys made every one of them count. And that just talks to just our ability to move the ball swiftly from end to end and applying pressure in the forward half and withstanding the barrages of attack from Fremantle going inside our defensive 50. The contrast in Geelong and the Fremantle game defensively as a unit, as the 18 players on the field, I think the difference was we just didn't allow them to move the ball quick enough to get it goal side of our defenders, and that's always going to be hard for anyone to defend running back to goal. We didn't have to do that last night, fortunately. Wallet Fam says, my words equals eaten with a slice of humble pie. I think, Wallop, without looking at Instagram, maybe you were concerned about resting too many players. Is that what you're suggesting? And then, Joel also said a professional win. Glad to see it. Do I have a fan takeaway that I can add to this? Let me think off the top of the dome. Just scanning through what we saw. Is there something or someone? Oh, Sullivan. Sorry, there was a Sullivan fan takeaway, and we'll roll with that one. Wade Miles says, Sully was great. I said during the week, Manny asked the question, would you go Jordan De Goey or Lachie Sullivan as of right now? And I said, Lachie Sullivan. We know what's happening with Jordan De Goey. He's not fit to perform. He needed to be managed, not dropped. He needs a conditioning block. I would argue you need to give him a Patrick Dangerfield, Dane Swan type of conditioning block. Give him 4 weeks just to smash the training decks and not be asked the question at the end of each week, are you ready to go? It's like, no, we're going to get you through a comprehensive 4-week conditioning block. You've missed pretty much the whole preseason. We're 7-2. We're doing all right without you. Lachie Sullivan is performing, and it seems like he's finally growing accustomed to what it takes to match the AFL intensity, both physically and skillfully. So honor that rise in performance, the willingness to learn and prove that he's an AFL player. Almost every game he's played, he's played above his role, I feel like, Lachie Sullivan. How crucial was that one-handed contested mark that he took on the wing late in the game? Like, that's why I'm even more so willing for JDG to have that conditioning block, and we just nurse him, get him right for the back end of the year. I said also a couple of weeks ago, he's the exception to fit to perform, Jordan De Goey. However, we've given him 4 or 5 weeks to become fit to perform while playing AFL footy. That hasn't transpired. So let's stick to being patient and just ticking boxes off and away from AFL footy for now. And see how that goes, because what's happening right now is not working with De Goey, whether he's carrying multiple injuries. Footy is tough, man. Like, he's obviously, most players are picking up niggles on a week-to-week basis and working through it. So not only is De Goey working through reconditioning his hip and groin, he's probably picking up niggles that we're not going to know about. So that's that. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and we'll see you for the next segment of fan takeaways for the Collingwood versus Adelaide game next Saturday. Go Pies.